Okay, have you ever thought about whether some forgotten, centuries-old law could be dusted off and used to build a new multi-billion-dollar financial system? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? Well, in this explainer, we're diving into a pretty radical concept that does just that, looking at how these ancient legal ideas could be the key to totally transforming modern banking. So let's get right into it.
So the whole idea really starts here. It's this claim that there are these dormant, centuries old laws. The source material calls them forgotten authorities, that are not just some historical footnote. Nope. The argument is that they are still legally valid and could literally be reactivated today. It's a pretty wild premise, and honestly, it's the foundation for everything that follows.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The documents basically ask this huge question. What if you could take these old, dusty legal frameworks and somehow turn them into modern financial products? Products that could generate billions, with a B, of dollars a day. We're talking about turning legal history into an absolute financial powerhouse.
So, what exactly are these forgotten powers? Well, the source material doesn't just leave it vague. It gets really specific, pointing to actual historical authorities that it claims are still on the books, still legally enforceable, and just waiting for a modern upgrade. I mean, just look at the scale of this. It's staggering. Take letters of marque, that old-timey power that let governments authorize privateers. The modern take? They're calling it a cyber privateering bounty authority with a potential daily throughput of $1 to $4 billion. Just to put that into perspective for you, that's right up there with the daily trading volume of some major stock exchanges. The numbers are just audacious. And this is a perfect illustration of how they're reimagining these old concepts. Back in the 18th century, a privateer would seize physical ships at sea. The proposed 21st century cyber privateer, on the other hand, would get a green light from a nation-state to go after and recover stolen digital assets or even ransomware payments. It's a direct translation of an old-world idea for our digital age. Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question, or maybe the billion-dollar question. It's one thing to say these old laws exist, but how could you possibly use them to enforce massive financial claims in today's world? In our incredibly complex global financial system. How do you actually make it all work? And the answer, according to these documents, isn't some army of lawyers. The key that supposedly unlocks these ancient powers is a brand new technological innovation. So this is where we pivot. We're moving from law and history right into the cutting-edge world of financial protocols. And that key technology is called mathematical gold. Now, the best way to think about this is, well, a stock certificate represents your ownership in a company, but it's not the company itself, right? It's just a claim. Mathematical gold is designed to be different. It's supposed to be like a digital gold bar. It doesn't represent value, it is the value. They call it a substance asset. And what that means is that settlement is absolutely final the second it's transferred. So the whole goal here is to create an entirely new foundation for finance. Instead of our current system, which is built on all these layers of intermediaries and custodians and clearinghouses, all just managing claims on value, this protocol is designed to create a network where the value itself, the substance, is transferred directly. It basically collapses that entire claim stack. Okay, so what does this idea of a substance asset actually change in the real world? Well, its first major proposed impact is a huge one: the total and complete elimination of settlement delays in banking. This slide just lays it out perfectly. In our current system, right, when you sell a stock, it takes 2 days for that transaction to actually settle. We call that T+2. And during that 2-day window, the assets are kind of in limbo, which creates risk. What the mathematical gold protocol is proposing is instant settlement, T+0. The second a transaction hits the ledger, it's done. It's final. That whole risk window just vanishes. And this shift to T+0, to instantaneous settlement, is an absolute game changer. There's no more waiting, no more biting your nails hoping a deal doesn't fall apart during that settlement period. It's just done. And because the asset itself is the final value, you get zero conversion loss. No fees, no spreads, no need to sell it or liquidate it into something else to be able to use it. And from a bank's point of view, this is critical. It means the asset is treated as 100% reserve quality the very instant they receive it, and that has some massive implications for their financial health. Which brings us right to the second major impact: how this technology is designed to fundamentally change a bank's balance sheet, and really, its very ability to create money.
Think about this. When you deposit money in a bank, for them, it's a liability. It's money they owe back to you. Other assets they might hold are contingent, meaning their value isn't really certain until they're sold. The source material claims mathematical gold is completely different. It's supposed to enter the balance sheet directly as a Tier 1 reserve-grade asset. We're talking the highest quality capital a bank can hold, so it instantly strengthens the bank's financial position from the get-go.
And this is where it gets really, really powerful for a bank. See, stronger reserves mean more lending power. Because this asset is instantly classified as high-quality collateral, what regulators call an HQLA, or high-quality liquid asset, the bank can immediately start creating new loans against it. And of course, more loans mean more interest income. It's like a direct multiplier effect on their main business. This phrase really just sums up the whole operational benefit. A bank can use the asset to meet its reserve requirements, use it as collateral for lending, and use it for settlement, and it can do all of those things at the same time, without ever having to sell the asset first. It provides liquidity just by sitting there on the balance sheet. Okay, so let's tie these two huge ideas back together, the ancient forgotten laws and this futuristic financial technology. How is this whole system actually supposed to work together? So here's the proposed blueprint, step by step. First, you reactivate these ancient legal frameworks to create these enormous financial claims. Then, you use mathematical gold as the substance to settle those claims instantly and with complete finality. And the end goal, according to the documents, is to create a kind of parallel financial system, one that operates without the traditional gatekeepers like clearinghouses. I think this quote from the source material just perfectly captures the core of the idea. It's not about creating another digital IOU that just points to value somewhere else. It's about creating a new foundational layer, a substrate, where value itself can actually exist and be moved around directly. And that really leaves us with a final and pretty provocative question to chew on. For pretty much all of modern history, we've thought of money as something that needs backing, by gold, by a government, by a promise. This whole concept challenges that from the ground up, and it asks, what happens when money no longer needs to be backed? Because it is the backing. It's a fundamental shift in how we might even define value itself.